Welcome along to Betting Weekly Extra Time European Show. You're with Dan Roebuck. Alongside me, Steve Wyss and James Eastham. We kick off the new season with action in La Liga and Liga. Great to be back with everyone for what we hope will be another profitable campaign. Steve, we go again. How are you?
Well, good day to you both. This is exciting, isn't it? New season. And, for me personally, I'm hoping we can absolutely smash it out of the ballpark here. Obviously, there was a great comment that someone put on the Futures video, which you can still watch, by the way. And I think someone likened me to the famous Leeds player back in the day, Norman Hunter, bites your legs. I love that one. And it kind of, last year was a bit of a fighting year for me, wasn't it? I was about minus 15 units at one point. Grabbed it back to about +2 in the end. I need to get off to a better start this time. I don't want to be chasing again. So I've got to learn my lessons from last season, and I've got some new strategies, some new ideas, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And I think it's going to be I've got a really good feeling about this season. I really do.
Yeah, like that. James, serious ROI last season, big number to live up to this campaign.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Hey, Dan, I mean, you're right. It was a great campaign for me personally in terms of profit. And I did have a good start. Steve mentions there the importance of having a good start. It makes a big difference to your confidence if you have a good first 2 or 3 months to a season. So that's what we're looking for. But I would stress at this stage, we are here for the entire season. So don't worry if some of your early picks don't quite work out. It can be tricky at this time of season when there's less form to go on. And this is why staking plans are so important, and doing the right thing and keeping your discipline is such an important part of it. So that's what we're looking to do. But same as Steve says, absolutely looking forward to it. I'm very, very excited for the new season.
Any early strategies from your boys, Steve? What we thinking match day one? What are we taking into consideration? I asked this on the Premier League show Friendlies. Late last season form. Is it signings? Is it new managers, new tactics? As James just pointed out, it's tough at the start of the season. A lot of bettors stand off and think, I want to get some form in the book. How do you assess games?
In terms of individual players, I do like strikers who are hitting the back of the net. I mean, I don't think there's anything quite like it. It's really gives them confidence and stuff like that. So I'm looking for hot players in pre-season. I don't really like sides who've had lots of ins and outs. I do prefer teams who are a little bit more settled. The actual friendly results, look, if they sort of add to my argument, I'll use them. If they don't, I'll ignore them. But some of these friendlies in the European teams, they often play 120 minutes as well, by the way. So you got to take them with a pinch of salt. You really do. I think it's more about individual performances in the matches which catch my eye.
James, anything that you specifically look at match day one, match day two, so on?
Yeah, well, I think there are opportunities because you may know the players who've come in and out at a club better than the market makers do. So that can throw up her chances to find good prices. I think I'm quite unusual. I think friendlies can be really useful, but only really for this first weekend. And then after that, they sort of go out the window. So I will be referencing some in the show today. I think that just on this one weekend, they are worth looking at.
Comments via YouTube, please. Who you betting in Spain and France over the course of this weekend? We're going to cover every top flight game in La Liga and Liga taking place Saturday and Sunday. And we'll get through the lot over the course of the next 45, 50 minutes or so. Staking plan this season, tweet just a little. We've still got 1U, still got 2U, still got Hot Dog, the same game parlay. Steve's happy. Has been jettisoned. So 6 official plays. Look, as many leans as the boys want. This week a little bit different because we are going to have a line on every single game that takes place over the course of the Saturday and Sunday. We're going to kick off though with some picks from the boys. 1U pick first of all from Steve. This is a 3:05 Saturday Eastern kickoff in France. Nice against Toulouse here. Nice plus money favourites, but only just, Steve. They've been in Champions League action, qualifying action already. That I thought they went out fairly meekly. It's something that you talked about on the live show as well. Toulouse were expected goal and points darlings last season. How are you assessing this game? What's the 1-unit play?
I'm starting the season with an under, and this is one of my sort of lessons from last season. I didn't use enough of my official units on the unders when I had a good read of the teams in the games. I gave out the under in both of the Nice matches against Benfica on the live show. The second leg was a 3.25 goal line, which was way too high. So this is kind of unusual because unlike some of the fixtures, we do have some competitive form to go on with Nice. And I didn't really like what I saw, to be honest. 3 shots on target in 2 games against Benfica, combined expected goals of 1.2. Okay, it's Benfica. I think Benfica are the best team in Portugal right now, so we can't be too harsh on Nice, but they don't really seem to be coming into the season with too much firepower. We know they've sold Guesson to Aston Villa, and at the moment I'm not 100% sure who's going to score their goals. Terry Moffey's back now. Last season did his ACL. He's just played 2 times 90 minutes in a row. That's a big ask for someone who's coming back from ACL surgery. So whether he starts this game or not, I'm not sure we can expect too much out of him. And now they face a Toulouse side who were massive underachievers last season. 15 points underachievement on points. They underachieved with their XGA. They underachieved with their XG by 10 goals. But I don't think anything's going to change. I think we're going to see them exactly the same on these underachieving metrics. They're the sort of team, again, they just don't possess anyone right now who you would comfortably hang your hat on to score goals. So I think we could see quite a few missed chances in the game. I think it'll be slow-paced as well. We must mention the weather this weekend. It's really hot across Europe, and the south of France is no exception. Even though this match is being played in the evening, then there's still going to be hydration breaks. The players could well be tired and a bit physical. I think 0-0 is possibly on the cards, or 1-0 to someone. Both meetings ended 1-1 last season. So I'm going to take under 2.25 goals as my 1 unit pick to start the season at -108. As long as this match does only contain 2 goals or less, then I'll get some sort of a return. At the moment, both sides are very much on my unders list, Dan. So I've got to strike early.
And this is the point with Toulouse, I think, James. We saw it last season, as Steve pointed out. They do underachieve, but maybe they're just an underachieving side. Maybe they're a side that create chances and don't take them. We've seen it with certain teams Europe-wide. Toulouse could be one of those. Brief thoughts on this one for you.
Yeah, they are, and I think they're going to create fewer chances this season than last season. They've got very little in attack at the moment. They've lost a couple of decent attackers by their standards. Their manager, Carlos Martinez, said just last week that the priority between now and the window closing is to bring in attackers, which is an admission of sorts that they're short of numbers in attack for this opening weekend. So I fully endorse Steve's pick. And very quickly on the weather, this is a 9 p.m. kickoff local time, and we think it's going to be 29 degrees. That's mid-80s in Fahrenheit. So that just tells you how hot some of the temperatures are going to be around Europe this weekend.
Let's move on to James's 1 unit play. We go to Spain for this one. Mallorca against Barcelona. This is a 1:30 Eastern kickoff here. Mallorca are plus 510. Barcelona minus 225 here. And the draw plus 380. Short price jollies here, James. Barcelona have been impressive in pre-season, and they've got a really good head-to-head record against Mallorca. What's the 1 unit play?
Yeah, the 1 unit play is on Barcelona with a -1 goal start on the Asian handicap, which is available at -141. So with this pick, if they win the game by a single goal, you're going to get your stakes back. And if they go on and win it by a couple of goals or more, then you're going to make a profit. And this is one of the games, Dan, where I think pre-season form can be useful, really, because Barcelona have been absolutely brilliant in pre-season. 4 games, 4 wins. But it's not just the fact they've won them, it's how they've won them. 20 goals scored. They rounded off with a couple of 5-0 wins, one against Como, one against Daegu in South Korea. They had a 7-3 win against Seoul and a 3-1 win against Vissel Kobe. They've had a tour over in Japan and South Korea. So I think that matters. I think it shows that Barcelona are at it. A lot of their big name players that people will be looking out for this weekend have done really well in those games as well. Yamal has scored 4 goals in those friendlies, so he should be firing this weekend. And I think that the head-to-head record, it just adds really to the sense that Barcelona should win this game. They were 5-1 winners away to Mallorca last season. So it's very difficult to see why they wouldn't win here. They're going to have pretty good team news. I know there are concerns generally about Barcelona's defence this season, and I'd be really interested to hear people's comments on that. I think anybody who feels they won't win the league is generally leaning that way because of concerns over the back four and the goalkeeper and whether they're going to be strong enough. But I take that on board and I understand that. But I think this weekend, honestly, it's of limited use because I think there's so much firepower in the Barcelona side at the moment, as they've shown in pre-season, that they can go here and get this one pretty comfortably. And what I like about the pick is, if they do just win it by a single goal, which for me would be a surprise, you're not going to lose anything. You'll get your stakes back with the Asian handicap picks. So I'm really strong on Barcelona this weekend. I think they're going to get this game won comfortably. And it's a 1 unit play from me. It's Barcelona -1 on the Asian handicap at -141.
Yeah, Barca have been backed as well, incidentally, -265, just looking at the live odds. Incidentally, that game last season when they won 5-1, I just looked at the XG for it, Steve, and Barcelona actually underachieved by scoring 5. Their XG was actually over 5 in that game. I mean, they can knock teams over fairly comfortably. You've got a thought on one of the props on this one for us?
I do have an official pick on the game, on the Insider. This is my pick on the Insider this week, over 9.5 corners, simply because whenever Mallorca face a team of superior one of the top 3 or 4 sides, they usually get completely dominated territorially. Check out some of the corner stats last season against Barcelona, Real Madrid, stuff like that. So I'm expecting Barcelona to rack up quite a few corners. It's going to be very, very hot here for kickoff, nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's what kind of put me off laddering the corners and stuff. I do still think it will go over 9.5 corners though, because this Mallorca team always concede them.
Let's get Steve's best bet of the weekend, shall we? This is a 2-unit play. We go to France on Sunday, 11:15 a.m. Eastern kickoff. Auxerre against Lorient. Lorient back in the top flight. Best Ligue 1 defence last season, but obviously they are stepping up against an Auxerre side that obviously came up the season before. What's the play here? Best bet of the weekend, Steve?
I got to improve my 2-unit selections. I lost nearly 8 units on the 2-unit pick last season. I worked it out. So this is an area of improvement that I need to do. And I'm starting with, again, under 2.5 goals here. Auxerre against Lorient. I think this is a banging price. Brilliant odds here. -120 for this to happen. I think the 0-0 detector is absolutely in operation. We've got... There's a lot of reasons I like it. Weather for a start, again. It's going to be really hot. Around 30 degrees Celsius, and this is an afternoon kickoff. This is 5 p.m. local time kickoff, so the sun's going to be beating down more. The managerial matchup, I love this. As I've said before, I'm not a big fan on head-to-heads in terms of teams, but I love managerial head-to-heads. And we've got Christophe Pellissier against Olivier Pantaloni. Pellissier against his former club, actually. These two managers have met 8 times before. Pellissier has 5 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat. 6 out of the 8 encounters have been under 2.5 goals. 6 out of the 8 both teams to score no. Doesn't surprise me because they both play exactly the same way. They both don't want much of the ball. Auxerre ranked, I think, 3rd bottom in possession stats last season in Liga. And both of these two sides, trust me, they will be bottom 5 for possession this season. So no one wants the ball. When that happens, you can often get a bit of a standoff where not a lot of actual football gets played. Lorient had the best defence in Ligue 2 last season. No surprise. Pantaloni, for those who've known him down the years, a wily old fox who he's going to come here targeting getting a point. And 0-0 will suit him perfectly. I don't see who's going to score the goals. Just check out the shortest odds for score any time in this game. And it's no one remarkable. Krupi, who is at Bournemouth, he's going to be in my fantasy Premier League team, I think. Cheap option up front for them, but he scored 22 goals for Lorient last season. I mean, they've not replaced him. I don't think you really can replace someone like that. So I'm just struggling to see where the goals are going to come from. Everything is pointing to a low-scoring contest. The 0-0 detector is definitely ringing out here. Or 1-0 to someone. Interesting stat before I finish. 8 of Auxerre's 11 wins last season were to 0. So, and a lot of them were at home. They had a good home record. So we're looking at 0-0 or maybe 1-0 Auxerre, perhaps here. Under 2.5. This is not even 2.25 goal line. And straight under 2.5 goals is -120. This is definitely my best bet of the weekend. It's my 2-unit play. And I'm starting the season with two under picks down with my official plays.
Love that. Also love the fact that Steve Wyss, ladies and gentlemen, spends his summers trawling back through all of his 2-unit picks to get his P&L, so he knows the data ahead of this season. Don't ever change it. And nil, incidentally, is 9-1. 1-0 Auxerre trades at plus 650. James, thoughts on this one? What do we expect from Lorient back in the top flight? What do you think about Auxerre?
Well, Lorient have spent their summer changing. You talk about what Steve's been doing over the summer. Lorient have spent their summer changing from the back four they used to win promotion to a back five in their pre-season friendlies. I think that tells you everything about what they're planning to do in the top flight this season. It's going to be a damage limitation exercise, I think, from Lorient in a lot of their away games. Certainly, Steve's absolutely right. They're not a team who want possession, and I'm not even sure they're going to press that hard. I think it's going to be more a case of getting men behind the ball. So I think, let's wait and see what we get. But looks like an unders game to me all day long.
Yeah, double low block from both potentially here. Unders is the 2U play for Steve. What about James's best bet over match week 1 of the new European season? We stay in France, Sunday 9 a.m. Brest against Lille. Lille are the favourites here, but they have sold some key players. James, they might have issues in defence. Likewise, Brest, you were telling me they've got some new components of it. Talk us through this one. What's your 2-unit play?
Yeah, it's my 2-unit play, my best bet of the weekend. It's on Brest versus Lille. Both teams to score yes, which is available at minus 141. And yeah, a lot of this is down to the fact that we're going to have two teams out on the pitch in this game on Sunday with brand new defences, and I think potentially defensive problems because of that. Lots of players who don't know each other very well, lots of players who haven't spent many minutes together even in pre-season. So quite a bit of guesswork, I think, in those crucial moments in the game when you're relying on your teammates and you hopefully have some understanding with them. I think both ends of the pitch defensively, these two teams just haven't had enough time with their new teammates to deal with that. So just to go through some of the changes which have happened, looking at Lille, the away team first of all, their goalkeeper, Lucas Chevalier, has gone in that high-profile move to Paris Saint-Germain. Diakite, who was one of their two centre-backs last season, has gone as well to the Premier League. Thomas Meunier, their first choice right back, is still there, but he's suspended this weekend. So a really new look defence from Lille. They have signed a new goalkeeper, but only yesterday. Will he play this weekend? We don't know. So it might be their number 2 goalkeeper in goal. And then at the other end, not quite as many changes for Brest, but there have been changes. They've sold their goalkeeper as well. They brought in a new goalkeeper from Monaco who's only been there a week, and one of their centre-backs has gone too. So just those crucial areas, understanding between the centre-halves, just the two of them, and also with the goalkeeper, communication, things like that. I just think all of these things are going to be a little bit lacking this weekend. And the attacks are pretty good. We know that Brest at home are generally fairly positive, and Lille have been fairly positive too in their pre-season friendlies, and would generally, I think, look at a game away at Brest as one where they can go and try and win it. So I think both teams, in an offensive sense, should be pretty strong, but I'd be slightly concerned about how they're going to defend this weekend, and that's led me to the both teams to score yes pick. And just very quickly on player picks, one of the big new signings into League One this summer has been Olivier Giroud, the former Arsenal striker who's joined Lille. He scored 3 goals in 120 minutes in pre-season. He only started to join in with the games towards the end of it, but he looked really sharp and really good. There's no more Jonathan David at Lille. He's gone to Juventus, so Giroud's got a chance to become the new number 9, and he's been in good form. And I think he's plus 180 in the to score anytime market this weekend. So if you are looking for a player pick, you might want to have a look at Giroud. But my pick on the game, it's my 2-unit play. It's both teams to score yes, and it's available at minus 141.
38 years young, Olivier Giroud. 39 back end of September. Only got 3 for LAFC, but you never know. Could have a little bit of a late goal scoring splurge in his career. That has been fantastic. Ligue 1 winner with
Montpellier. back in the day.
I don't know, mate. I don't know even why I'm attempting quizzes about French football with you two. We're going to stay with the same game. We've got a few more chips we're going to put into the middle because, Steve, you've got your hot dog in this one.
Oh, I love this game. I really do. I looked at 4 potential bets for this game. It's an absolute firecracker, and but I'm going with a hot dog pick. This is where it all started for me, actually. The first ever hot dog on these shows was in a Brest game, and it won. So, and I do generally like to target Brest games for hot dogs in general. And the pick I'm going with is over 3.5 goals at plus 250 now. I think everything that James has said makes a lot of sense here. Biggest problem for both teams, they've lost so many defenders. And the keepers as well. So when that happens, there could be all sorts of... There's going to be mistakes in this game, I'll tell you now. There's going to be mistakes. But yes, in terms of other bets that I liked for the game, Ludovic Ajorc to score any time plus 245. That was on my hot dog list. Giroud to score. I think that's a massive price, plus 180. James mentioned it. I like Brest to win as well. Plus 230. I think they can get off to a winning start. So, but for me, over 3.5 goals... I mean, the main goal line of over 2.5, I think, is around even money. Yeah, minus 106. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. James has got his 2-unit play on both teams score. Yes, that looks a great bet. So I'm just going the ladder a little bit higher here. Over 3.5 goals at plus 250. It makes the only sort of downside is the weather. This is the early game on Sunday, but it's not as hot in Brest. Britain is not as hot as the south of France. So that doesn't worry me quite as much. All things considered, we could be in for an absolutely barnstorming game. If this ended 3-2 to someone or even 4-3, don't be shocked. It is absolutely well worth watching. It looked to me like the best over bet of the week in France. So plus 250 hot dog to start the season, Dan.
Lovely. That's over 3.5 goals for Steve. And just a reminder, James likes both teams to score yes, which is a 2-unit play on that Brest-Lille game. It's Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern, if you're getting involved in that one. Hot dog from James to come next. This is in the Metz-Strasbourg game here. Strasbourg have been splashing the cash a little bit, James, as you told me. Metz back in the top flight, but pre-season haven't been going great. And this is a proper feisty one, I believe.
Yeah, this is a derby game in eastern France between Metz and Strasbourg. So on that basis, it's a bit of a surprise. It's an opening day match. Often the derbies are left for deeper into the season, but going to start with a bang in this part of France. And yes, my hot dog play is on Strasbourg to win the game, but not on the money line. They're plus 130 on the money line to win the match, which I wouldn't talk anybody out of. But for the hot dog plays, we're obviously going plus 200 or bigger. So my hot dog is Strasbourg -1 on the Asian handicap at plus 230. So with that pick, if they do win the game by a single goal, you will get your stakes back. And if they win the game by 2 or more goals, then you're going to make a profit. And yes, you're right. Strasbourg have been among the biggest spenders. Actually, I think the biggest spenders at the moment in the window in France, somewhere in the order of £80 million on new players. They have the same owners as Chelsea, which has helped them out in the market as well. Plenty of player trading between the two clubs, which so far has worked out very well for Strasbourg. They've picked up some good players last season, and also it looks like this season from Chelsea. So they look really strong to me, and we talked about them a little bit on our season preview show last week. I think Strasbourg think that 4th place in League One is up for grabs, and that's what they're going to be targeting to see if they can get into the Champions League. And I think on paper they have a squad that's good enough to do that. So the manager, Liam Rossigna, who was outstanding last season, has got a bit of work to do to work out, I think, his best starting 11. They've got a very big squad. There have been lots of players coming in and out, but I do think they've got the raw quality to get the win this weekend. And on Metz, they are one of the 3 promoted sides. They were promoted via the playoffs rather than going straight up. And they don't, to me, look any stronger than they were last season. So I'm a little bit concerned about them in terms of how well they can do this season. It looks to me like it probably will be a relegation battle for Metz. They've got a manager who's done really well in the lower leagues, but is managing in this division for the first time. We don't quite know how it's going to go for him or his players. And we've mentioned pre-season friendlies and whether, we should read anything into them. But I do think it's worth pointing out that Metz lost their final pre-season friendly 8-0 to Hoffenheim. They were 5-0 down at half-time in that game, and it was to say it was a poor performance would be an understatement. And then you think, well, maybe they didn't play their strongest side. Well, actually, all 11 players that started in that game are contenders to start in a real game. So it's a worry for me that they lost that game so heavily. I'm not quite sure they're ready for the start of the season. And I think at home in a derby, on the back of that friendly defeat, I think they'll be feeling the pressure a little bit, whereas I don't think Strasbourg will at all. So it's my hot dog play. I think Strasbourg are going to get off to a winning start this weekend. -1 on the Asian handicap, and that's available at +230.
Good stuff. Strasbourg at -1 Asian handicap. That is a hot dog selection from James. As promised, we are going to run through all of the other games Saturday and Sunday for you in Spain and France. We're going to start in Spain, La Liga, and a couple of games that are late. And Steve has already mentioned the fact that games are going to go late in Spain. They always do it this time of year because of the heat. I mean, it is very hot in Spain, Steve, isn't it? Get your thoughts on Valencia, Real Sociedad first here. Each are two pretty much in terms of the money line, but Valencia are a top 6 side based on the second half of last season, and La Real have lost their duel in Zubimendi. Any brief thoughts on this one for us?
Oh, what I want to do is comment on the goal line, because before I looked at the odds or anything like that, I was convinced this was going to be an official pick of mine. I was thinking 2-unit play for under 2.5 goals. But it's -250. The actual goal line, we've got minus money for both over 1.75 goals and under 1.75 goals. I mean, to get a 1.75 goal line on the opening day, that's unheard of nearly, really. I mean, this is South American sort of level stuff. Is it?
This is Argentina,
The value's almost now on the over. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to bet on the game. It's an interesting one. Valencia did lose their goalkeeper, didn't they? And I think they've lost a key defender as well. So maybe actually the value now goes on the over, but I just wanted to comment on the goal line, which would suggest we're looking at a 0-0 or a 1-0. It's frustrating because Real Sociedad, of course, changed of manager as well this season. I don't think there's going to be many goals in it, but the goal line just did stand out to me. Have you ever seen this on the opening day in Europe? I can't think I can remember it.
It's Argentina or even Japan. I mean, the goal lines are so low in those two countries, Argentina in particular. But I think when we talked about some of the Spanish games last season, towards the end of the season, there were some very low goal lines. But that is an odd one. Anything from you on this one, James? Steve referenced Mosquera, who's gone to Arsenal. He had a really good breakout season last season with Valencia. Anything for you on this?
Well, I think Valencia are generally a really interesting team to follow in the early weeks of the season because, we spent a lot of time last year talking about Roma in Serie A, didn't we? And the impact that the change of manager there had with Ranieri coming in and almost making them a new side. We had a similar thing with Valencia with Carlos Corberán coming in. And like you say, Dan, they were a top 6 side based on the second half of the season rather than a team that finished 12th, which they did. So I actually think Valencia are pretty good value here. They're plus 155 to win it. I did have a look at Valencia Tino Bet, which is available at minus 148. I think there are worse leans out there than that. But yeah, in the end, no pick or lean from me on this game. But I think over the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season in Spain, Valencia for me are one of the more interesting sides to follow.
Alaves Levante, Steve, again, Saturday night local, 3:30 Eastern stateside. Alaves were pretty good towards the back end of the last season, but they weren't great to watch. You've got a little lean for us here.
Yeah, this time you can go on the under goal line. Under 2 goals at minus 120, I think, would be a lean for me. If you just look at for a start, we're expecting this to be a battle between 2 teams involved in the relegation battle this season. If you look at the pre-season futures odds. And again, neither team have many goals in them. Pre-season results, again, make of them what you will. Not many goals around at all. One of these games, I think, will end 0-0 that we just talked about. And this might actually have a better chance than the Valencia fixture because there's simply less quality on offer in the final third of the field. So first game of the season, no one's going to want to lose it, are they? It'll be quite a slow-paced contest. And the under 2 Asian goal line looks quite good to me at minus 120. You only lose the bet if there is 3 goals or more.
James, on the under train for this one?
Yeah, possibly, because like Steve says, it's a game between two sides we think will be battling against relegation this season. Levante, one of the promoted sides into the division, and we've talked about lots of factors that people may or may not think count on the opening day. Well, Levante certainly finished last season in really good form, 4 wins and a draw from their final 5 on their way to promotion, and they were competitive in that second division in Spain right until the very end, because in the end there was only 4 points separating the top 4 in that division. So if you think that going all the way back to May and how teams played and how motivated they were is a factor this weekend, then you would argue Levante are in form, but it depends if you see it that way. So no pick or lean on this one for me, but I tend to agree that it's likely to be unders.
James, Celta Getafe is an 11 a.m. Sunday game, Eastern. Celta Vigo back in Europe this season. They're minus money favourites against the Getafe side that's finished last campaign in awful form. Anything here?
Yeah, Celta Vigo, I've noticed on a lot of the forums and people previewing the new season in Spain, there's some concerns about whether they've got the squad to handle doing well in Europe and doing as well in La Liga as they did last season when they finished 7th. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Whether that makes them feel as though they need to get some points on the board early in the season before the European fixtures kick in, I don't know. But again, that will be something to keep an eye on as we go through September, October, November, and whether they're able to rotate, or if they do rotate, do they get a lot weaker in the league? So let's wait and see. I think the price on them this weekend is pretty fair. They're minus 152 to win. If you think they are going to win, that might open up the Asian handicap for you and maybe back them with a minus 1 goal start or something like that. But on Getafe, I can't have them simply because they were the weaker of the two sides last season. And like you say, they finished the season in particularly bad form.
You've been on the unders train for much of the show, Steve, but you think there might be a few goals in this one? Oh, we can't hear you, Steve. We can't hear you. There we go.
There's a couple of games in Spain this weekend that I do like goals in. This is kind of one of them. And I'm going to have a lean for both teams score yes at plus 120. It's just too big for a Celta Vigo fixture because we know how they play. Most of their fixtures last season were wide open, entertaining. You basically got a clash of styles here. A team that wants to play open, entertaining soccer against a team, well, we know what Getafe are like. Rigid. They'll make a lot of fouls. They'll dig in deep defensively. But towards the back end of last season, they did get involved in some higher scoring contests. And I think part of the reason for that is they're not actually that great. They do lack a little bit of quality. So this is not an official pick. But it would be a decent lean for me at plus 120 for both teams to score between Celta Vigo and Getafe.
Yeah, watch out for Ferran Jutla, who's back in Spanish football, was at Barcelona. Very briefly scored quite a few goals at Club Brugge. He's at Celta Vigo. Athletic Club against Sevilla, Steve. Huge recency bias from me because I saw Athletic Club against Arsenal last weekend. They were absolutely awful. I want to bet Sevilla, but it is Sevilla. They've had 2 shocking back-to-back seasons. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I was tempted by quite a lot in this game because I'm with you. There's been a lot said about Athletic Bilbao. Pre-season form's been horrific. So this is one of those, do you take note of pre-season form or not? First home match, San Mamés, you know what the crowd's like here. They might play really well and get back to normal. They're minus 205 to win, though. I don't think I'll be backing
short
that,
isn't it? That's too short.
Yeah, I couldn't be backing that. Sevilla were on my hot dog list, plus 550 on the money line. But that really wouldn't make percentage sense, would it? Opposing Bilbao at this stadium's not usually a great idea. I like the goals. I think you could look at over 2.5 goals here. Both teams to score is my official lean, plus 118. I mentioned it on the pre-season futures show that the change of manager here, Matis Almeida for Sevilla. Watch out for them. They're going to be involved in some good games to watch. There should be goals in their fixtures. Probably not many clean sheets across the board. So both teams score yes at plus 118. And there's a player I like. I mentioned him in the future show. Akor Adams. I think he's in for a big season for Sevilla. You can get him for a shot on target or more at one shot on target or more. Plus 128 with Bet Rivers. So I can't help myself there either. So two leans for me, a player prop and a match prop. But I would not be surprised if this ended something like 1-1 or even 2-2.
Almeida's going to be a coach to watch. You did mention in the Future Show he was at the Quakes for a while. Quakes were a bit of a basket case, as we know. James, quickly on this one.
Yeah, I think Sevilla are really interesting because of that manager change coming in. Almeida, who I still associate in my head more with Italian football from his playing days, although he did have a season at Sevilla as a player. I tend to think Sevilla can only get better, having just about avoided relegation by a point last season. Almeida has a decent pedigree as a manager more recently. Been 3 years at AEK Athens and he won one title there. So wait and see for me on this one. None of the prices appealed, but there's a short list of clubs I think are really fascinating, I would say, at the moment in Spain. And the first 6 or 7 match days of the season will tell us a little bit more about how they're performing.
Very quickly on the Atleti game away at Espanyol. These are the games, Steve, that Atleti weren't winning last season. They dropped points when they shouldn't have. Can they get off to a winning start?
Well, I looked at this initially as a sort of Atletico Madrid -1 Asian handicap sort of pick. But, I was actually put off by Espanyol's pre-season form. It's very, very good. I think they're unbeaten. They even drew against teams like Newcastle. So I'm a little bit concerned by that, which is why the lean is going to be Atletico Madrid win to 0 at plus money. This is plus 106. If they do win, it probably will be 1-0 or 2-0. Espanyol are on my list still to go down. But I have to say their pre-season form has now generally surprised me a bit. Whether they can convert that into competitive matches, let's see. So the minute I'm going to give it a watching brief, I think the 0-1 exact score is very much a possibility here.
Big spenders in summer, haven't they, Atleti, for the second consecutive summer, James?
Yeah, they have, and obviously the job they've got is to try to close that gap on the top 2, isn't it? They were sort of isolated in 3rd spot last season. They weren't really close enough at the end to the top 2, but they were clear of the chasing pack, so caught in no man's land, and they obviously want to go up. I mean, I had a long look at this game. I think the prices are about right. Steve's mentioned Espanyol's pre-season form. Sometimes it can be just that, can't it? It's enough to put you off a bet rather than making you have a pick, and that's often worthwhile. And I had a similar thing with Espanyol's home form against the big 3 last season. They managed to beat Real Madrid, and they drew this fixture 1-1 at home to Atletico Madrid last season, and it wasn't even that long ago. It was in late March. So there was just enough in Espanyol's figures to make this a no-pick game for me. Let's wait and see how the 2 teams do.
That is 3:30 Sunday, incidentally, Eastern. Let's rattle through some other French games over the course of the weekend. Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern is Lens against Lyon. And we've got prop bets to consider from the boys here. It wouldn't be an Extra Time European show without James Eastham's shot on target pick. But you think that bettors have got to be quick here. Obviously, this show is going to be released on sort of Friday, midday Eastern. Fingers crossed the price is still there. James? Yeah,
there's a player in the Lyon side, or we think maybe in the Lyon side, who's a great price, I think, in the over 0.5 shot on target market. The player in question is Abner, who is a left back at Lyon. He's available at plus 900 to have a shot on target, and he's as big as plus 370 to just have a shot on goal. So both, I think, really big prices. Yes, he's a left back, but there's 2 reasons I think that price is too big. The first is that he might start the game. The number 1 choice left back at Lyon is Tagliafico, the Argentina international, but he was in a slightly tricky situation in the summer in that his contract ended at Lyon and he didn't extend it for a while because of their financial problems. So he's only actually been back training with the squad for a couple of weeks, which means he might not start and Abner might start at left back instead. And the second reason is that Abner actually scored twice in one of Lyon's pre-season friendlies. He got 2 goals in a 4-0 win that they had over Mallorca at the end of July. So I think if he does start, I think he's going to fancy his chances of getting among not the goals, and certainly the shots on goal. So he's plus 900, as I say, to have over 0.5 shots on target. It's just a lean from me, and I'm not sure the price will hold up. But I think anywhere down to sort of plus 300, plus 350, he's worth a look. So that's my lean on this game in the player market, and the player in question is Abner.
Steve, you've also looked for a player to perform in this game.
Florian Thauvin has recently signed for Lens, and this match might come too soon for him. I don't know whether he will start or not, but when I saw this, they've actually paid reported €6 million for him. He's a 32-year-old, so that's quite a hefty fee, isn't it, for a 32-year-old from a team like Lens buying him. But I think it's a really good signing because he's like a fine wine, isn't he? He's getting better with age. We've seen how good he was at Udinese over the last 2 seasons. Bit of a Rolls-Royce player, really, in a lot of ways. Technically excellent. To score or assist, plus 160. Florian Thauvin. The shot on target, it's only minus 175, sadly. So Bet Rivers are taking no chances with that. But this guy can get involved in so many different ways. So the plus 160 did stand out. I'm not sure he'll start, though, so that would obviously be a stakes back refund for you.
One player that almost certainly will start, Steve, in the Monaco Le Havre game is Mika Beret, who burst onto the French football scene mid-season and was just scoring goals left, right and centre. You like him this weekend?
This was very nearly my one-unit official pick. This definitely my best player, prop of the week. Mika Beret to score any time, minus 118 at home to Le Havre, who for me are one of the big favourites for relegation. I think they'll go down. There's a good chance this could be a fair beating, actually, you know. If Monaco racked up a big number, it wouldn't entirely surprise me. I'm going to back Beret to score. I'm laddering him. I'm going to back him to score 2 or more and a hat-trick. This guy's got a history. I think he's already had 3 hat-tricks for Monaco. I think he's a runner for the top scorer as well. 10-1, I think he is, generally around the mark. When Greenwood's something like 4-1 and he's 10-1, I don't get the discrepancy there. He's in for a big season. He scores goals. He's at home against one of the worst teams in the league. Minus 118 to hit the back of the net looks at a good odds to me.
Yeah, it looks really good value. Your thoughts on Beret in this game, James?
Yeah, I think he's a great shout, and I think he'll have a great season. You know, to get 13 goals in half a season, as he did in 24-25, was fantastic. I think he averaged a goal every 95 minutes. So on that basis, he's going to be up there, I think, towards the top of the scoring charts. I think he's available about 9-1, 10-1 to be the League One top scorer. He will certainly be one of the contenders.
Angers against Paris FC. What can we expect from Paris FC back in the top flight, James? What's the sort of vibe with Paris FC?
Well, they're better than most promoted sides, is what I would say, and they're very different from most promoted sides as well. They've got very wealthy owners, which I think stand them in good stead at a time when there's lots of financial problems in French football. That's meant they've been able to go into the market this summer and strengthen the starting 11 that got promoted. The other 2 promoted sides, Lorient and Metz, Steve's mentioned Lorient, I've mentioned Metz. They both got weaker. For me, Paris FC are going in the opposite direction. They've signed some good players. And it was some time coming, was this promotion. They've been in the playoffs, I think, 4 times in the last 6 or 7 seasons. So they'd come really close. They built a very good club at infrastructure level. They've got a good academy and things like that. So I think they're ready to do well in this division. I think they're going to stay up. And they're underdogs this weekend, which is a slight surprise to me.
Only just.
Yeah, only just. Angers are plus 170, Paris FC are plus 180. Was almost tempted to go Paris FC, tie no bets here, but decided in the end that we'll just wait and see how they do because it is their first game after promotion. But generally speaking, they look pretty good. And if there is one of the 3 promoted sides that should avoid relegation and maybe even avoid a relegation battle this season, then it would be Paris FC.
Final thoughts on the weekend action. Big game in France in terms of where it's positioned on the TV schedule, at least, is Nantes against Paris Saint-Germain. Steve, the Super Cup game was incredible in the end. It was a 2-2 draw, and then Paris won on penalties. I mean, they looked ring rusty, but are they undercooked? Are they overcooked? Should we be fading them? Should we be betting Nantes on an Asian line or betting them to score? It's an odd one, isn't it? This for Paris Saint-Germain. I think bettors are still trying to get used to where to put them in their betting basket at the minute.
I think we can say that maybe sometimes the Premier League teams are maybe PSG's kryptonite a little bit. Obviously, Chelsea beat them in the Club World Cup final. We know Villa gave them problems last season. Liverpool was a close game. So I just think the physicality of the Premier League teams does give PSG problems. They couldn't handle the set pieces, could they, of Spurs in midweek. This is a completely different game. This is FC Nantes. Actually, both fixtures were 1-1 last season. They might, I don't know if this is true or not, but they might be the only team that PSG didn't beat. Probably. I don't know. Maybe there was another team out there. I can't remember. But it's a different manager. Comboire, we know how he would have set up against PSG defensively, stuff like that. There's a new manager here. They brought in the guy from Dunkirk, a Portuguese boss. So, but pre-season results haven't looked great for Nantes. I think that they're a bit of a work in progress. They're always going to be in the discussion for relegation. I would imagine PSG should come bouncing back here. I think they needed that run out in midweek. They can rotate the squad. And the bet I'll be looking at, someone asked me about this on the live show on Wednesday. My usual first half bet on PSG is back here. PSG minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap for the first half at minus 109. As long as they win the first half, you'll get some sort of profit. This is a lean. Obviously, it's not an official pick. But I would expect them to come out the traps quite hard after midweek and try and prove a point, to be honest with you. And I expect them ultimately to go on and win relatively comfortably.
It's always hard, James. You've got to get creative with Paris Saint-Germain because they're always short price favourites to win games domestically. So it's not easy for bettors to try and scramble some value somewhere. What are you doing? Are you fading or playing the champs this weekend?
Yeah, I tend to stick with them. I think they should win. I think we probably won't see the best PSG, and we might not see the strongest PSG lineup. I think manager Luis Enrique will rotate and might rotate heavily. And not just because of that Super Cup game, but because they had such a short time off in the summer after the Club World Cup final. And then they've only actually, even as we're recording now, they've only been back in training about a week. So there's lots of fitness concerns, and I think they'll be taking advice from the physios to make sure they avoid injuries. But what I would say is what we saw in the Super Cup against Tottenham, they have decent reserve players, and the players who are reserves, when they come in, will be absolutely fired up to show what they can do. And you can make a good case for a lot of PSG's backup players being better than a lot of first choice players in League One. So I'm thinking of the likes of Kangin Lee, Gonzalo Ramos, Warren Zaïma in midfield. I think they'll be able to put out a team to get the game won. And I don't have a pick or a lean in the match, but I think PSG will get the 3 points here.
Steve, James, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We'll keep everyone updated via our X feeds. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Extra Time European show. Follow us at Because We Win. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel from all of us. For now, though, it is goodbye. Good luck this weekend.